Hi everyone, good morning. There are seven people, so we will wait for 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, we will start the session. Please confirm, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay, thank you, Sarla. I'm sharing my screen. Just to confirm me when my screen is visible. I hope my screen is visible. Okay, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. So, I'm starting today's session. First, I'll introduce myself. I am Fahima Parveen, and I have total 6 years of experience in clinical research. My educational background includes B.Pharm and MD in Pharmaceutical Management from Jamia Hamdard University. Today, I'll be presenting on a very important topic: regulatory guidelines for clinical trials. These regulations act as the backbone of clinical research. And yesterday we discussed about the clinical research. What is clinical research? How many phases are there? What are clinical trials? How many type of studies are there? So today we will discuss about the regulatories which we follow in clinical trials. So move to the next slide. These are the here we will what we will cover today. We will begin with the basic understanding what clinical trial regulations are and why they are crucial. We will examine key historical case studies that influence modern day guidelines. Then we will move on major global and Indian regulatory authorities, explore GCP, and go deeper into NDCT 2019 and SA guidelines. We will also go through the Indian regulatory approval flowchart and the role of regulatory affair professional, ending with challenges and career path. So move to the next slide. Introduction to clinical trial regulations. Clinical trials are structured studies conducted in human participants. We discussed yesterday, like clinical trials are those studies which we do on humans, which we do experiments on humans to evaluate the new drug, device, or therapies. If we are doing any study to find the results of any new drug, any new medical devices, or any new therapies, but science alone is not enough. Ethics and compliance are very important. Very important compliance are equally critical. Why we need regulations? Because participants volunteer to take a part in unproven interventions. It's our moral and legal obligation to ensure their safety and rights. If any patient is participating in a clinical trial, so it's our right. Patient safety is our right. Patient like how his consent is also very important. Regulatory frameworks are built from painful historical lessons. We will discuss few case studies in the next slide. How the regulatories are built, how these guidelines are built, and regulations include proper approvals, informed consent, data integrity, safety reporting, and transparency. Transparency in clinical research is very, very important. PI should be transparent with the patient, or sponsor should be transparent with the patients. So, moreover, with many trials now being global, GCP are essential so that our country's data is accepted globally. So, move to the next slide. Why are regulations crucial in clinical research? So, clinical research brings hope to millions. There are many people who cannot afford expensive treatment. So, clinical trials are a good option for those patients. And it can, but research can be misused. And if unregulated, there are many companies, and it happened in previous years, like many companies are doing clinical trials unethically. They are enrolling patients without taking any consent. We will discuss two case studies in the next slide. So that's why countries need strong frameworks. In India, the growing disease burden from chronic illness to emerging infectious disease makes clinical trial essentials. But without regulations, these trials could harm instead of help. Obviously, if there should be no regulation, there should be no guidelines, so many people will misuse of clinical trials, and they will harm to the patient. And the data will also affect data. The data they will collect will also not correct. Okay, so there are many regulations make sure that drugs are tested properly, participant safety is never compromised, data integrity is maintained, ethical review is mandatory. So there are few agencies in India, like who follow the ethical, like CDSU. We will discuss in upcoming slides what is CDSU and what are the regulatories we follow in India. So move to the next slide. There are two case studies which we will discuss. So let me take you back in time. Imagine it's 1930s in Alabama, USA. A group of one study is ongoing, that is the syphilis study. The duration was 1932 to 1972, and a group of 600 African American men, mostly poor farmers, are approached by the government health officials. So they are told that they have bad blood and will receive free medical treatment. Obviously, if you will say to any poor person, like you will receive you have this problem and you will receive free medical treatment, definitely they will desperately participate in your study. And the government told them, so they agree and trusting the government. But what they don't know is that 399 of them actually has syphilis. So out of 600 patients, 399 had syphilis, and the government doctors have no intention of treating them, not even when penicillins become widely available in 1940s, when the standard treatment of this disease was available. And for 40 years, these men are monitored to study how syphilis progresses when left untreated. Even when some of them go blind, become paralyzed, few patients died, doctors continue the experiment. Doctors has not stopped their experiment without even informing them about their actual condition and offering them the cure. Their families are affected too. And this was in a famous study, horrifying breach of medical ethics. So when the truth finally comes out in 1972, there is a national outrage. The public is furious. The US government is forced to apologize, and leads to the creations of Bellman report in 1979, laying the foundation for modern research ethics. So, due to this situation, they have prepared some research ethics, including informed consent. Informed consent is a document which we used in the clinical trials, and patient we PI is PI responsibility is to give informed consent to the patient, and patient has completely right to sign the informed consent voluntary. And second is doing good, avoiding harm, and they cannot harm the patient health, and justice, fair treatment for all the participants who are participating in the trial. So there is one more study, that is the Nuremberg trials during World War II in Nazi Germany. So, in concentration camps, prisoners are subjected to inhumane experiments. Some are frozen to death to test hypothermia, others are forced to drink sea waters, some are infected with deadly disease to test vaccines. None of them prisoners gives consent. So these patient has not given any consent, and they have participated in the trial. So these doctors were prosecuted. Then they raise one document and inform consent document, like patient will participate in a trial voluntary. Nobody will force them. If patient doesn't want to participate in a clinical trial, then no one can be forced to the patient to participate in a study. And risk versus benefit assessment, the right to withdraw at any time. If patient is participating in any study, so he can withdraw any time, even after 1 day of the consenting, 2 day, or 1 month, 2 month, when he feels like I don't want to continue my participation in this study, so he can withdraw his consent freely. These cases were not just horrific, they were like turning point in medical history. Because of these events, we now have the Declaration of Helsinki, like GCP guidelines, ethics committee, mandatory informed consent. After these situations, these guidelines were prepared, the committees were prepared, and the informed consent is mandatory for all the for all the patient who are participating in a clinical study. So these regulations we follow today were not made in isolations. These were born from pain, injustice, and hard lessons. And it is our moral responsibility to ensure that such tragedies never happen again. I hope you understood these two case studies. We will discuss after completing the PPT. If you have any question, please write it down. I will answer all the queries. So move to the next slide. The global regulatory authorities. So every country has its own regulatory authority responsible for drug and clinical trial oversight. If we will talk about the USA has Food and Drug Administration. If you are doing any clinical trial study, then you have to take the approval from USA. You have to take the approval from FDA. In India, we follow CDSCO, Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. In Canada, Health Canada, Australia, Therapeutic Good Administrations. So respective countries has their own agencies, and without these agencies, we cannot do any clinical trial in that country. And if you are conducting a global trial, you need to align your study with each region's regulations. So move to the next slide, that is regulatory authorities in India. If we will talk about India, so in India, the first regulatory authority is the CDSCO, that is the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. It is the apex body under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Second is DCGI Drug Controller General of India. It heads the CDSCO and is responsible for clinical trial approvals, overseeing new drug application, monitor safety or ethics committee by BHR committees, and also play important role in how studies going in India very ethically and scientific standards. And there are other authorities also, like ICMR. You guys know what is ICMR, and DCC, CDL, DTAB. So move to the next slide, that is regulatory requirements for clinical trial. Before a clinical trial begins, these requirements must be met. First is participant protection. Trial must be minimize risk and protect rights. If anybody is doing trial, like sponsor should know that his clinical trial has minimized risk, and it protect patients' right. That's why we do preclinical studies, which we discussed in yesterday session. What is preclinical? Like we first experiment the drug on animals, on mice, to check the safety of the drug. If for phase preclinical approved, then we will do the phase 1 on a small number of patients, then phase 2, or then phase 3. Then we will market that product in the market. So next is ethical approval. So, when we do any clinical trial, there are few documents. For example, protocol, informed consent document. It should be approved from respective ethics committee. Ethics committee we already discussed in the yesterday session. Every hospital, every site has their own independent ethics committee, and without ethics committee's approval, we cannot do clinical trial in that hospital. So third is regulatory approvals. Regulatory approvals means, like in the previous slide I told you, every countries has their regulatory authority. So in India, CDSCO. In India, we follow the CDSCO. So we have to take approval from CDSCO for the important documents, like CTA, clinical trial agreement, interventional new drug documents. And so we will submit the document in the CDSCO, and after their approval, we can start the clinical trial. In the next slides, I'll explain you the complete flow chart of the study, how we submit the document, then how we will start the document, and how we close the study. So now is GCP compliance. Without this, your data won't be accepted by any regulator. Compliance ensure data integrity and protects the sponsor from legal issues. It's not just a documentation; it's a ethical commitment. So move to the next slide. GCP, yesterday I told you about the NIDA training. NIDA training is basically a GCP training. So GCP is a gold standard developed by ICH. It defines ethical principle based on Declaration of Helsinki, which we discussed in the previous slides when we discussed case studies. So, investigator responsibilities. If any doctor is doing clinical trials, so he has some responsibility, then he has to follow that responsibilities. There are few responsibilities which is developed for the sponsor. Sponsor has their own responsibilities. Quality assurance and auditing. Like yesterday we discussed it in clinical research, there is one department, quality assurance and auditing. So the quality of the data is very important. So quality assurance team has responsibility to check the data quality, so they can do the audit also, they can do the inspection also, they can visit the site at any time, and they can check the data. Please write down your questions, and once we will complete the whole PPT, then I will answer your every questions. So move to the next slide, that is regulatory submissions and approvals. So regulatory submissions include a wide range of documents. There is a CTA, clinical trial application. Protocol is a document in which we mention about the study, how we are planning to do the study, what is our product, what are the schedule, what are the events we are planning to do in the study. Informed consent document. Informed consent, I already told you, it's a consent form in which the patient agreed to participate. Patient signed that consent form, and patient agreed to participate in a clinical study. Next is case report forms. So when a patient participate in a study, definitely we will collect the data, and we will collect the data in our software, in our form, case report forms. And according to the protocol requirement, site will enter the data in case report forms. So preclinical and safety data also. So approval process involves ethics committee review followed by CDSCO, which I already told. First we need CDSCO approval. After CDSCO approval, we will submit the documents to the ethics committee for their approval for respective site. For example, in India, one study we are planning to do, and we submit the documents in CDSCO, and CDSCO approved that study. So, and we have decided five hospital in India, two in Delhi, two in Mumbai, one in Gujarat. Okay, so we will submit all the documents respective hospitals, and respective ethics committee will review all the documents and they will provide their approval letter. After receiving their approval letter, we can initiate the study. Okay, so move to the next slide. Guidelines for clinical trials in India. So when we do clinical trials in India, there are few guidelines which we follow. One is NDCT, New Drug and Clinical Trial Rules, which initially it was earlier we called it as Schedule Y. Now in 2019, it is a New Drug Clinical Trials Rules. They cover everything from trial classification, safety reporting, compensation to ethics. India is actively improving in its regulatory framework to attract more global studies while ensuring participant protection. So, and next is serious adverse event we will discuss in detail in the next slide. Uh, there is one guideline we prepare CDSU prepared for SAE, and in which we mention all the timelines and how to submit the SAE report and what are the timelines for respective person, for example for site person, sponsor person, and for ethics committee. So move to the next slide. First is NDCT. We will discuss the NDCT few things. I have also attached the link here for you can download directly NDCT guideline from this link, and you can review the NDCT. You will get, if you learn the NDCT by heart, and so you will get to know each and everything about the clinical trials, how we do the clinical trials, and what are the major point. If you are working as a CRA, then if you are working as a CRA, CRC, CTA, or in any department in clinical research, then you should know each and everything about NDCT guidelines. So there are few things in this this is India's most comprehensive clinical trial law to date. There are few key highlights which I'll mention. There are like approval timelines in 30 days India for Indian drugs and 90 days for global drugs. And ethics committee must register if every hospital has their own ethics committee. It should be registered with the CDSCO. No DCJ approval required for non-commercial academic trials. If any doctor is doing academic trial, okay, so there is no DCJ approval required. He can do the academic trial only after ethics committee approval. Special support for orphan drugs and rare disease. So this regulation is designed to encourage innovation and improve efficiency without compromising on safety. It replaced the older Schedule Y and brings India closer to global standards. So move to the SAE guidelines. First, I'll tell you what is SAE. SAE is serious adverse event. Are It is basically any untoward medical occurrence during a clinical trial. If patient death, if patient is participating in a clinical study and he died due to some reason, so then PI has to report the SAE. If patient condition is life threatening, then they have to report the SAE. If patient is admitted in the hospital or prolongation of hospitalization, permanent disability, birth defect. So these five major points are important to report the essay. So there are few timelines and responsibilities. The investigator responsibilities is they have, if any essay happened in the hospital. So for example, today 12 a.m. essay happened. So within 24 hours, investigator has to report essay to sponsor ethics committee and the CDSCO. And there is one form in the NDCT guideline, that is table 5 form. So they have to fill that form and they will submit the form to the sponsor ethics committee and CDSCO team within 24 hours of awareness. Second is sponsor. What is sponsor responsibility? Sponsor responsibility is they have to submit their own report within 14 days. So an ethics committee is responsibilities, they have to submit their report within 30 days, and they have to review the essay and they have to like tell their opinion also, it is related to the drug or not related to the drug. So move to the next slide. This is the flow chart we follow. This is the flow of if you are doing any clinical trial in India. First, for example, we can say Pfizer is doing any clinical study in India. So they have to prepare the protocol, and they have to prepare the informed consent form also, and they will prepare the both the document and they will submit to the CDSCO. So there is one portal, Sugam portal. Via Sugam portal, they will submit their application to the CDSCO team, and in CDSCO, there is one committee who review the clinical trial, that is SEC, Subject Expert Committee. So Subject Expert Committee will review the all the documents, and after reviewing all the documents, they will give the approval. So after receiving final approval from DCGI or CDSCO, so we will sponsor will submit the documents to the respective sites, to the respective hospitals. Okay, so respective hospitals ethics committee will review the documents and provide their approval. And when we will receive the approval from the ethics committee, then clinical operation team do the site initiation. And after site initiation, PI investigator can enroll the patient, and when site will be initiated and still the site will be closed out, if any essay happened or anything happened, everything will be recorded, and their CRA will monitor the data. So this is the complete flow chart. Please write down your question if you have any question related to this slide. So move to the next roles and responsibilities of regulatory affairs professionals. So regulatory professional, yesterday few candidates were asking me what is regulatory affairs and how is the scope. So I'll tell you what is their responsibilities. So regulatory professionals are the bridge between the scientific innovation and legal approvals. So they have to prepare and review submission documents. For example, if any clinical trial completed, so regulatory department will prepare the uh, uh, report, and they will submit the report to the regulatory authorities, interact with the regulatory bodies. For example, if you are in the regulatory department from the sponsor side, then you are the responsible person who will discuss everything with the CDSO team. Like your department will submit the documents to the CDSCO, your department will communicate directly with the CDSCO to the regulatory authorities. Or guide study teams on regulatory expectation. They ensure that the product reaches market with full regulatory support, thereby protecting public health and corporate reputation. So there are few challenges in regulatory affairs in clinical research. Every department has their own challenges. So today we will discuss about the challenges in regulatory affairs. So for this field is not without challenges. Constantly changing global regulations. You all know government update everything very frequently. So according to the latest guideline, we have to prepare everything and short submission timeline. For example, if you are submitting any protocol in CDSCO, so they have very strict timeline. So you have to submit your protocol according to their timelines. Need to for cross-functional collaboration, managing audits and inspection, staying updated with all the guidelines like WHO, CDSCO, FDA guidance. So regulatory professions must be detail-oriented, ethical, and flexible. A single mistake can delay product approval or cause a compliance violations. So, career opportunities in regulatory affairs. So, there is a high growth and high responsibility field. If you feel you can learn everything by heart, so definitely you can work in this department. And the roles include regulatory affair associate, submission specialist, regulatory project manager, drug safety specialist, and with experience you can work with global pharma companies also, CROs, or even government agencies. If you are passionate about clinical research and loving working at the intersection of science and policy, this is the perfect role for you. So the final conclusion, I'll tell you I'll summarize the whole PPT. So clinical trials without regulation can be harmful. If we will do the clinical trials without any regulations, without any guidelines, so definitely it will be harmful for the patient. And ethical and scientific integrity must be guide every study. Indian regulations like NDCT are modern, participant centric, and innovation friendly. Regulatory professionals are vital in ensuring safety and compliance. So, move to the next. There are few movies and series which are based on human trials and ethics. And if you want to understand about it, like how clinical trials do without ethics, so you can watch these movies, and you will understand it more. So I hope this session has given you a clear picture what are the regulatory guidelines and why it matters. If you have any question, please drop in the chat. I'll definitely answer all the questions. Thank you. Okay, so please drop your questions if you have any question related to any slide. So there is one question. Why there is duration approval of a drug for Indian drug is 30 days and for global it is 90 days? Because if we are doing global drugs in India, so there are multiple responsibilities, multiple documentation works. So that's why the timeline is bigger for global studies and lesser for Indian drugs. And if in India, like relatively faster process to approve certain drugs, uh, but if we are doing any global studies, then government has to review everything in detail. So that's why the timeline for Indian drugs is 30 days and global is for 90 days. And they have to take permissions, career options. So one question is career options and quality assurance. Quality assurance is like a good diverse opportunity. If you will work in quality assurance department, then you will have a good career options, and the entry level you will focusing on the documentation SOPs. If you work in a quality now, so basically your work will be related to the documentation. You have to prepare the SOPs, you have to support the internal audits, may also be involved in deviation handlings, and like internal audits, vendor audits, regulatory inspection, and you should have complete knowledge of every guidelines, like what is the latest guideline which we are following. So yeah, and documentation control specialist, it's a good if you want to work in, if you like you have that capability, like you can you can learn everything on tips. So yeah, definitely you can work in quality. Explain more essay. So I'll give you a few example about essay. So first, you should understand the definition of essay. Essay is basically if patient is participating in a clinical trial, he signed the consent form. So from today till the patient is participating in the clinical trial, anything, any untoward medical event, untoward means anything happen to the patient which is can be a death or life threatening, has a permanent disability, birth defect, or hospitalization more than 24 hours. So if these five terms are relating to the patient, then investigator has to report SA. So there are few timeline also. And if patient has, if SE happened at the site, so this is sponsor responsibility to pay all the medical management to the patient. Patient will not pay anything related to the SA, or if patient is participating in the study, so related to the treatment, all the payment will be done by the sponsor only. I hope it's clear. So next, what is Sugam? Sugam basically it's a portal which is prepared by the CDSO team. Initially, SA was submitting via mail or hard copy submitted to the uh, regulatory authority CDSO team. But now, from last 3 to 5 years, they have prepared a portal, that is Sugam portal, in which they have registered to everyone sponsor investigator ethics committee. So if any sponsor is planning to submit their protocol, so they have to submit the protocol via Sugam portal. If any SA happened, so investigator will submit the SA via Sugam portal. Ethics committee will upload their document via Sugam portal. So it's a like connecting portal between sponsor to CDSCO, ethics committee to CDSCO, and investigator to CDSCO. I'm not audible because one student is saying I'm not audible. So please confirm I'm audible or not. Okay. So okay, next question is global regulatory authority. So as I told you, in India we have CDSCO regulatory authority. So according to the respective countries, they have their own regulatory authorities. Like in USA we follow FDA, okay, Food and Drug Administration. In Canada, they have their Health Canada. In Japan, they have their own regulatory authorities. So I have mentioned regulatory authorities in PPT also, or you can directly check on Google if you want to know any specific country, like which regulatory authorities they have. So, and in quality assurance, there is any chances of remote work? Yes, there are many companies who provide remote work for quality assurance uh, departments. Not all, but yes, there are few. So it's totally depend in quality in which field you are. If you are in preparing the documents, preparing the SOPs, so yeah, they can give you the remote work. If I am interested in regulatory affairs department as a B Farm student, I can apply directly for it, or what will be the salary? After B Farm, yes, definitely you can directly apply to the regulatory affairs, and there is one 6 month course also, DRA, Drug Regulatory Affairs. You can also do if you want to attract more your CV, and salaries totally depend company to company, because nowadays salaries totally. But yeah, salary in regulatory affairs is good. Uh, bet is better than other departments. What is the job eligibility of RA? So there are few companies who need a certification course of regulatory affairs. There are few companies who take directly students from after B Farm. You should have some experience also. There is no big eligibility there. You can directly apply after B Farm. So next question is a IP Indian pharmacopoeia helps in regulatory affairs? Hello. Oh yeah. Sorry. I thought my network. So, yeah, is a IP? Yes, they help in the, yes, Indian pharmacopoeia play a very crucial roles in regulatory affairs, especially in India, and they have set some official standards, IP is legally binding book of standards for drug manufacture and market in India. They specified identity, purity, strength, and quality of drugs, and CDSCO referred IP during drug approval, licensing, and inspection. And they have already, if you will read the NDCT guideline now, so you will see there is a properly, they have mentioned properly everything in detail, how they have to do the labeling, and everything they have mentioned in NDCT. So you can follow the NDCT, you can read the NDCT. So you will learn more about the clinical research, you will learn more about how we do the trials in India and what are the guidelines. Ma'am, please repeat the kisi syphilis study in short. Okay. Actually, there is in the USA, in they in 1930s, before we can say before before Independence Day. Okay, so there are six government uh, 600 people participating in a study. Okay, they were poor farmers. That time people were less educated, obviously, and if any government influenced to the normal person, you will get the free treatment for this, so definitely everyone will participate. I can give you an example for COVID. In when COVID came in India, so everyone was like was not understanding what is COVID, and everyone was uh, using that vaccines also. And if we see vaccine in nowadays, we see the side effect of the vaccines. In 30s, people are getting heart attacks. Okay, so yeah, 600 people participating in a study, and out of these 399 people have that disease, but government didn't tell them. They have not providing the standard treatment, and they have not explained anything to the patients who have participated in the study, and they are misusing their body. So they are just giving their drug to the patient, and there are few patient who has not that disease, and that patient also participated in that study. So yeah, after that people decided, authorities decided to prepare some documents, like informed consent form, because and like ethics committee. So yeah, they misuse patients, and there are few movies also which I have told you in the last slide. You can, if you will watch that movies now, you will properly understand how people misuse patients health, how they harm directly to the patients. Please repeat NDCT guideline in short. Actually, NDCT guideline is a huge document, and uh, if you please download NDCT and you will able to understand. It is like approximately 200 pages guideline, in which government mention everything. For example, if you will ask what is protocol, so they have mentioned the headings, like in protocol what are the major headings we need to add. If you will talk about the informed consent form, so they have mentioned about the informed consent form in NDCT, how to report the SA, what is SA, what are the timelines for SA, if any patient died during participation in the clinical trial, so what compensation will be given to the patient. Everything is mentioned in the NDCT. So if you have any other question, please let me know, or else I'll give some questions in poll if you are ready. Okay, I am adding few question in poll. I have added one question in poll. Please click. Which is better, RA course or MFARM RA? RA means you are asking like 6 month RA course, or what? If you are talking about a 6 month RA course, see, MFARM is a master degree, so definitely it is better. But if you don't want to spend 2 years on your master, so you can do a 6 month course, regulatory affairs, and after your graduation you can do 6 month course in regulatory affairs, and you can directly apply in that department. And you can do, if you will do the internship, then it will be a plus point for you, because if you will do the internship you will have the practical knowledge, and company will definitely hire you. Okay, so 76% says NDCT 2019, and 23% GCP. So the correct answer is NDCT 2019. Schedule Y replaced in 2019 by NDCT 2019, which is the main guideline in India which we follow for clinical trials. For any position, for any department, you should know, you should have the knowledge of NDCT. So I'm adding one more question. Yeah. So one question I've added in poll: which of the following is considered as a serious adverse event? One is headache and second is life threatening. So external admission is good for M-Pharm who has less marks in GPET. Yeah, that is fine. I think everything matters your skills, how you perform in the interview. It matters. Nobody will see you have cleared the GPAT, or if you are sitting in the placement job, or like college placement. So definitely these things will matter. Like you have cleared the GPAT or like etc. But if you are applying externally, so nobody will check you have clear your GPAT or yeah. They will focus on only on your interview, how you perform in interview, what are your skills, okay, your confidence. Confidence is a very important role in interview. So in any position in any department, if you are applying, so as a fresher, confidence is very important, and your communication skills, your like how you present yourself in front of the interviewers, so that is more important. So 13% say headache. No, headache is not considered as a serious adverse event. Definitely a life threatening, because if patient life is in serious condition, okay, so investigator will report the serious adverse event to sponsor CDSCO ethics committee. Okay, so any more questions related to today's session? I hope you all understood what is regulatory affairs, and there are a few guidelines in India, regulatory authorities, SAE. Please download NDCT SAE guidelines, read it, and you will understand everything more clearly. And I have uh, attached the link in PPTs, and you can directly type NDCT guidelines CDSCO on Google, so you can directly download it. In the next PPT, will you please provide us some basic interview questions to crack? Definitely, I'll provide you, but not in the next session. In last days, I'll provide you about the what are the basic interview questions in clinical research department they ask as a fresher for every department. Okay. So one last question I'm adding in poll. I did one question in poll. Please answer. मैंने जीपेड नहीं दिया और अब जॉब नहीं करना, जॉब भी नहीं करना, और एक साल बर्बाद नहीं कर सकता। और आप बताओ कुछ प्लीज। Okay, you so you can apply in another college. You can apply in private colleges who have not asked for the GPET exam. There are many colleges who never asked for the GPET. You can directly take admission in MPharm, and you can do. So 100% protect participant safety and data integrity. Yes, correct. The primary goal of clinical trial regulation is patient safety and data integrity. Correct. So I hope all the points are cleared and you don't have any questions. I'm just giving you 2 minutes, 2 more minutes. Just let me know if you have any question. Otherwise, we will meet in the tomorrow session. Okay, thank you everyone. So we will meet in tomorrow's session and we will discuss a new topic. So there is one more question. Is there any saturation in jobs related to CR, clinical research and pharmacovigilance? Not exactly saturated, but entry level roles are becoming competitive. Currently there are like less vacancies and more students. Okay. And the salary is also very low as a fresher, because right now you all know what is the current situation in India. There are many companies who are not taking freshers. There are few companies who are only hired experienced candidates. So for freshers, yes, it is little bit challenging. Okay, so but I'll suggest you, if you are a fresher, apply as much as you can. Okay, and don't expect you will get 30,000 or 40,000 in hand. Whatever you are receiving, just take it, and after 6 months or 1 year, move to the another company. Okay, but yes, as a fresher nowadays, it is a very competitive and very, I will suggest you like a very less job in India, and many pharmacy or life sciences graduates applying for a CRA, CRC, CTA roles. Okay, but salary are very less. Uh, in Delhi NCR for CRC salary is good, like 25,000. There are few who are like at AIMS they are giving 30,000, but there are few states. For example, I'll talk about. UP or Rajasthan, so they are giving only 10,000, 15,000 to the candidates, fresher candidates. Okay, so yeah, if you have good skills, if you have good knowledge about the clinical research, that's why I'm saying it. Just download NDCT and learn it and you go through it. Okay, so if you have that knowledge, the company definitely will hire you. I hope all clear. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Okay, bye. We will meet you tomorrow.